Chapter 80. 4 Heavenly Kings Hidden on Darkened Walls. There really was a face. Perhaps the flames hadn't consumed it entirely, or maybe the melting paint had flowed down and shielded the image from ruin. Whatever the case, beneath the tip of Shilian's finger, there was a chunk of an illustration depicting a human face. He began to carefully scratch away the solidified black material. "Is your highness really that fascinated by some Ural?" Pei Ming asked, holding his very swollen left hand. "It's not fascination," Shilian replied, "but rather that I have a daring idea." "Let's hear it," Pei Ming said. "We've gotten a rare chance to enter Mount Tonglu territory. While we work to stop the rise of a new ghost king, perhaps we can also find out more about the position itself. For example, who created the role? What kind of power is supporting all this? Perhaps we might even be able to destroy it in one sweep and rid the world of this disaster for good. We'd never have to worry about another ghost king being born." "That really is a daring idea," Pei Ming said. "But if Hua Chenzu never discovered anything while he was here, we'd probably only be wasting our time. I don't recommend trying it out in our current circumstances." Hua Cheng spoke up. "I didn't make any such discoveries because my talents are dull and my abilities limited. Besides, last time I was too busy killing. The results will be different if Guga takes the lead on this investigation." No, I'm the one whose abilities are limited. Sanlang is much more capable than me," Shilian said. As if he couldn't listen anymore, Pei Ming tossed Pei Xiu over to Van Yue and turned to walk outside. "I think I'm gonna go get some fresh air." It was surprisingly easy for Shilian to chip off a few chunks of the black hardened substance. He blinked. This can actually be... The hard layer of charred material could actually be peeled off in large pieces. In the short span of those few words, he had already peeled off a significant amount to reveal a human face, about the size of a baby's fist. The lines were simple, but the face's expression was lively, like it was chasing after something. The passion in the eyes was as clear as crystal. The hard black material seemed to have acted as a protective layer atop the mural proper, and the colors underneath were as vibrant as the day they'd been first painted. Shilian turned his head to Sanlang. "Sanlang, let's do this together." Clutchung didn't move, but a field of shimmering silver light began to gleam in the darkness. Hundreds of silver butterflies silently appeared, then fluttered to rest on the blackened walls. Shilian heard small chipping sounds as they flitted their wings in unison. Innumerable small cracks crawled across the black walls, like a fracturing mask. With a crumble, the black material covering the walls completely shattered, revealing the true image behind. It was a giant, colorful mural. Raising his head to look at the wall, Shilian felt chills. The mural was divided into 4 levels. The highest level shimmered with golden light and was crowded with clouds, but no people were present. On the second level, there was only one individual depicted, a handsome young man dressed in white. Golden light surrounded him. The artist had used the same gold paint as the top level. On the third level, 4 characters were depicted. Each of their faces, apparel, expressions, and gestures were different, and they were half the size of the white-clad young man on the second level. The 4th level, which was the lowest, was covered with countless figures, and they were half the size of those on the 3rd level. Each of their faces was exactly the same. Their expressions were open and full of passion, worship, and rapture. The first face Shilian had discovered was one of those on the very bottom. The lines of the mural were elegant and mature, and Shilian was stunned for a long time before he found his voice. "Sanlang, have you ever seen this before?" Huacheng's response was hesitant. "I traversed half of Mount Tonglu's domain and walked through almost every one of Wu Yong's holy temples. But I swear I've never seen anything like this before." Shilian came back to himself. "I don't think this mural is from 2,000 years ago." "There's no way it can be," Huacheng said. "Look at how well the colors have kept, as well as its overall condition. I'd say it's at most 100 years old, maybe even newer than that." Which meant that this mural had been painted after the kingdom's destruction. Shilian pointed at the highest level. "That level must be depicting the heavens, since the law of heaven presides above all sentient beings." Let me have this illustration. Then he pointed at the 2nd level. "This level must show the crown prince of Wu Yong. Since this holy temple was made to worship him, he's naturally the main subject of the mural, which is also why he's the biggest figure in this painting and surrounded by the same color light as the heavens. He's only slightly below the law of heaven." Then he pointed to the 4th level. "The figures at the lowest level are the smallest, and all their faces are the same. They must be the people of Wu Yong." Finally, he pointed at the 3rd level. "But who are these 4? Regardless of their poses or expressions, they're situated above the people of Wu Yong and below the crown prince. That means they likely all have the same status. Ministers? Vassals? Or..." Huacheng took a few steps closer. "Guga, look. They also have a sheen of spiritual light on their bodies." Sure enough, they did. The light radiating from the Crown Prince of Wuyang was so strong that it far outshone their spiritual light in comparison. The answer dawned on Jillian. They're heavenly officials the Crown Prince appointed after he ascended, which meant they were the same as Fengxian and Muqing once upon a time. Jillian made a round of the Great Hall and confirmed it was only this wall facing the gates that hid secrets. The other 3 walls were thoroughly burnt from crust to core. Who left this mural behind? And for whom was it left? What kind of message were they trying to communicate? Jillian couldn't deduce much from just one painting. He hummed for a moment, then turned to Huacheng. As we continue on the road, let's pay more attention to the other holy Wuyang temples. I have a feeling that there can't be only one mural like this. Huacheng inclined his head. I intend to. The 2 of them and Banyue, who was supporting Pei Xiu, left the holy temple. It was only then that Jillian remembered their other team member. Where's General Pei? Pei Ming had said that he needed some fresh air and went outside. Even though they dallied in the Great Hall for a good while, he still hadn't come back. Jillian called out a few times but received no response. I hope he hasn't gotten lost at a time like this. The 4 looked around the small, desolate town, but their search was fruitless. Furthermore, they couldn't use spiritual communication array in Mount Honglu. Just as Jillian was beginning to feel desperate, Huacheng spoke up. Gaga, don't worry, I have a way. He extended a hand. In his palm there was a tiny silver butterfly, which started lightly flapping its wings. It flew around Jillian, circling him a few times. While Jillian thought it was charming, he didn't know how it could help. What? Just then, he heard labored breathing. A few moments later, a man's voice came from the silver butterfly. Never thought I'd see you here, the man said. Pei Ming. Jillian looked at Huacheng, who snickered. Yesterday I planted a silver butterfly on everyone. Pei Xiu arduously raised his head. So, you can use silver butterflies to monitor everyone's movement without them noticing you? As expected, of Crimson Rain sought flower. Don't speak if you don't know how to form sentences, Huacheng snipped. Jillian caught the little silver butterfly in his palm and called out to it. General Pei, where are you? Who's in front of you? I'm sorry, Kuka, Huacheng said. You can only listen, not speak through it. Jillian gave it a thought and acquiesced. Fair enough. If the listener's voice could pass through, then it could easily give its presence away to the other party, couldn't it? Soon after, the frigid, exhausted voice of another young man spoke. Oh, Pei, a word of warning. You'd better not spew any ridiculous nonsense right now. Be careful or I might start smacking you around. Jillian's eyes widened at that voice. It was the voice of Ling Wen's male form. I see, Jillian exclaimed. So the man in black who killed somebody along the way was Ling Wen in his male form? Is it Ling Wen Jianbei who took General Pei away? Pei Xiu asked. I don't know, I'm still listening, Jillian replied. On the other end, Pei Ming said, Noble Jie, why the temper? Shut up, Ling Wen said. I told you not to speak. I'm not the one with a temper. It's someone else. I'm warning you. I can't control my body right now, so I won't be responsible for any injuries you sustain by my hand. Who are you trying to scare? We're both in the same predicament. We can't move a muscle, Pei Ming said. Jillian looked up. It's not Ling Wen who caught General Pei. Someone else trapped them somewhere. Then he pondered somberly. They even suppressed the Brocade Immortal. Who could it be? Are you still wearing? Pei Ming asked. He didn't say it out loud, but everyone knew what he was referring to. The Brocade Immortal. Yeah, he really doesn't like you, so watch what you say, Ling Wen replied. How would you know what he's thinking? Pei Ming wondered. Honestly, I can't believe you. What's gotten into you starting trouble like this? So audacious. Going so far as to steal from the Temple of Divine Might. You broke your own golden bowl, and now you've come running to Mount Tonglu. What, did he tell you to do all this? He didn't make me. I'm the one who wanted to come, Ling Wen said. Oh, Pei, stop asking questions. He's getting mad, I can feel it. Pei Ming shut up. After a while, Ling Wen puffed out a light breath. It seemed that the Brocade Immortal had finally calmed down, so he picked up the conversation again. And what's with you, old Pei? What are you doing, coming to Mount Tonglu? And were you stung by a million hornets on your left hand or what? That wound looks horrid. Pei Ming's voice was extremely sullen and woeful. Got off to a bad start. It's a long story. Little Pei isn't making my life any easy either. I shouldn't have wound up in such a pathetic circumstance. But who could have known I'd be jinxed the moment I arrived? If I weren't injured, do you think I'd let someone drag me to this hellish place? I didn't even see who it was. Can't you specify which hellish place already? Jillian thought. Say whether you're in a cave, or a house, or what, so I'll at least know where to look. It wasn't like there were no clues whatsoever, though. The teleportation array couldn't be used in Mount Tonglu, so Pei Ming mustn't have gone far. Their voices sounded somewhat hollow and echoed faintly. so they had to be somewhere spacious, and Chilean could vaguely hear the sounds of water. They hadn't run across any rivers or lakes along the way, and there weren't any buildings around that were more spacious than the nearby Holy Wuyong Temple. Therefore, there was only one place they could be, underground. But that didn't tell them much. This small town wasn't all that small. They were underground, but where exactly? "And what about you?" Paiming asked. "I hear you killed over 1,000 nefarious creatures. Everyone's terrified." "Congratulations. Well, you can't be the number one civil god anymore, so why not change careers and join us martial gods? What manner of creature managed to bind you here?" Lingwen laughed bitterly. "I don't know what it was either. I accidentally clashed with Lord Rainmaster and was dizzy afterwards, as someone took the chance to ambush me from behind. No need to ask me. It'll show itself sooner or later. Just remember not to expose your identity." Just then, a third voice interrupted their conversation. "Paiming, Nangongji, you nasty couple. Can you stop your smug calculations? You think I don't know what's under your fake skins?" That's chapter 80.